And action.
3, 2, 1, let's go. Welcome to Show Me Your Soul. Today's episode is going to be with one of my favorite people in the world, and she also happens to be one of my sisters, which my other sister is also my favorite person in the world. She's here with us watching. So yeah, I want to introduce you all to Judith. Judith Saga is my sister. She is one of the reasons I've always wanted to be a mother. When I was 8, she was brought to me by my parents, and it was like my baby. I started liking to change diapers, even though it's not fun. I wanted to get up at night and feed her bottle. They didn't let me all the time, but it's okay. Like I think I've always knew I wanted to be a mom, but after having a baby sister when you're like 8, 9 years old, it's like just makes you even want to more. At least that's what happened to me. To see you now, like so wise and all this knowledge that you bring into my life, right? I understand now the feeling when people say like, oh my gosh, you grew up so much, I feel so old. That's exactly how I feel. That's exactly how I feel when I look at you, and yeah, I just want to appreciate you. When I think of unconditional, I think of you. Every time I've needed, you're there. So for that, I want to thank you. And I can't wait for this episode. It's going to be a funny, juicy one.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that introduction.
Tell us what you do.
Well, me, I work with crystals. I make crystal jewelry. She's wearing one right now. And I'm also getting into massage therapy and incorporating crystal healing within the massages. You've actually also received those massages, and I mean, I think you can tell the people a little bit of
my experience. I'll explain my experience.
What unlocked in you and everything. And yeah, I mean, this path is a very new one, but it's one that I'm very excited to get started on. Yeah. And I also paint. I'm also an artist.
She's very creative. She's an artist. Yeah, she paints. So yeah, about her massage. Let me tell you about this massage. You get in there thinking it's gonna be like, like someone's gonna put crystals on me and I'm supposed to feel something. And I'm telling you, she placed those crystals on me, and I closed my eyes, and it was a very deep meditation where I literally felt like myself. When I closed my eyes, I like felt turning inside, like, and I think I was able to unlock a lot. When you touched my left arm and you told me it's hard for you to receive. Yeah, it's hard for me to receive. It's hard for me to receive a compliment. It's hard for me to receive love sometimes. It's hard for me to receive, and I've been putting myself in that feminine energy, wanting to receive more. And the fact that you could catch on to that, I think that just shows, who you are and the wisdom you bring within you. Then you got to the stomach part, and I'm telling you, you unblocked something there. Like I felt it. I don't know if it was with one of your tools, with your hands as well, but you removed something, and since then I have felt much better. I need another session, by the way.
Okay.
After this, we're booking.
We'll book it.
We're booking. Okay. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like that's the wisdom that I want you to bring right here. That wisdom that you bring every time, and the passion that you talk about crystals, and that you talk about the path that you're in. And I also want to congratulate you on that path. It's freaking scary being in the abyss and not knowing what the hell is down there waiting for you and simply jumping. I always say that caterpillars will stay caterpillars if they don't trust themselves in becoming nothing, becoming mush, in order to grow your wings, in order to be able to say, okay, I'm ready to fly.
Wow.
And I think you're doing that by speaking about what you do, by sharing this gift that you already have with others. So we're gonna do some round, like some questions. You want that?
Okay, I want that. Let's do it.
Alrighty. So I want to start with this question. What does it mean to truly know yourself? And do you think that that process ever ends?
I think we are ever-changing creatures, which with every lesson, every day we wake up and we're someone different because of our experiences from the day before and our hopes and dreams for the future. It can all change who you are now. So, for example, with the massage and the energy healing, I don't know what's going to come tomorrow. The only thing I can do right now is be present, and while I'm giving the massages, also be very present and in tune with the person that I'm healing, right? To answer the question, I don't think you ever stop changing. I think you can learn a lot about yourself in the now. You can't be stuck on who you were, and you can't be always wondering who you'll be. You just have to be. You just have to be present and be in the now. And I think that's when you learn most about yourself and how you deal with things and how you just move forward every single day.
Yeah.
Presence is key in every aspect, in knowing yourself and knowing others and seeing how you want to be, how you want to change and everything. You just need to be very present and aware of who you are in this moment in time.
And it's never ending.
It's never ending. We're ever changing creatures. Ever changing.
Yeah. Well, at least for me, I think the same. I think even in my Instagram, I have it, an endless road to inner wisdom. And I think that's what life is, like, and it's understanding who you are, it's understanding who you've been, it's appreciating who you've been in order to see it as a tool. So in order to turn your mess into your flex, right?
I like that.
It's like turning what once hurt me and what once was my shadow into my freaking superpower.
Yeah.
There is no one like you. And the work that you have to do to discover yourself, it has to come from you. If that's through crystals, if that's through family constellations, if that's through podcasts, if that's through whatever. But it has to be through human connection. And like you said, we are ever changing, it's endless.
The possibilities and opportunities are endless.
Yeah, and then you touched upon another one that it's key, which is presence. Like our fears, our traumas, and our what hurts lives in the past. What makes us anxious and what makes us worry lives in the future. So it's all about staying here, right now. That's all we have.
Yep.
One of the like big things that Pilates has brought into my life is that it's slow down to not eat shit. How many times do you try to eat? So it's not about eating the whole piece of cake. It's about savoring every bite. So there is no need to rush. When we rush, we don't take advantage of the moments. We don't take advantage of the little things.
We're looking for the next thrill, the next adrenaline boost, and yeah, sometimes that's fun, but you can also be present in the adrenaline boost,
Which is the best.
Which is the best.
Like knowing you're cannonballing and you're about to eat shit, it's the best.
No, but it's like when you said before, the jumping into the abyss. You just have to take the leap. the leap of faith, trust in yourself, trust in your highest self, and that whatever you're doing is for the best, you know, the best for you, the best for your future, and everything. You got to take the jump and have faith in yourself.
Yep.
What is that? What's that quote from Dune? It's like fear is the mind killer, something like that.
Yeah, fear is a mind killer, I believe it is.
Yeah, that quote is wow, because it's very true. The fear in your head, it's all in your head.
It's all in
All
your
the
head.
fear is in your head, and I mean, when we talk about that you create your own reality, is that do you want to live in a reality of fear? Do you want to be as scared of your own shadow? Do you want to be confident? Do you want to be excited about life? And even though it's scary, you find that excitement within the scary, you know? And sometimes we also just have to step outside of our heads because it's a very overwhelming and loud place to be in. And we have to learn how to quiet the mind and open the eyes, you know, to the outside, because there's so much beauty outside. Like right now I'm like looking at the trees and I'm looking at the birds flying, and it's like I'm there and here, and that's the reality that I want to be in, you know. I want to be able to look outside of myself and fully immerse myself in other things too.
I like that. I like that. Yeah. I read this book, which I recommend you to read and everyone listening. It's called Outwilling the Devil.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like conversations with God, but interviewing the devil. So Napoleon Hill, which I think it's an amazing author, he wrote this book interviewing what we think is the devil, right? That bad guy with some horns. And he's like, the first thing that the interview said, it's like, I'm not that guy with a horn, like with two horns and a stick.
Mhm.
He's like, I'm fear, and I control 90 or something like that, 98% of the population. And the worst thing is that it's already controlling you by your mom's fear, by your grandma's fear. And he says that in the book. He's like, I control the mind of the mom, so I control the mind of the baby.
Wow.
So if we still believe that we can live through fear instead of love or faith, then we're screwing ourselves over. We're screwing ourselves over because you're completely screwing yourself over. There's no way other to way say it. You know, there's no other way to say it. When we understand that our superpower is using our mind, is being authentic, is being unique. Not by what mom did, what my dad did. Who you want to be. What do you believe in? And bring your core values into that. And get along with people that you admire. So you get their core values and you integrate them into your life. But for that, you have to be forever changing, forever growing.
I couldn't agree more.
That's a good question.
That's...
That was good. Ready for the second one?
I'm ready.
Okay. So, talking about all this, what's one wound that still whispers to you, even when you thought you've healed it?
Give me a second to think about that.
I gave you a hard one.
um, I think one wound that I haven't fully healed. It keeps coming up. I'm constantly working on it, but there's, I guess, some aspects that I haven't really been able to let go, and I'm still trying to get to the root of it. Is being inconsistent with things that I do for myself. Um, if that's, I don't know, just kind of taking a break and stepping, like I said, stepping outside of myself and just saying like, okay, overall, I'm not okay, and I shut down sometimes where I literally I cannot speak to like other human beings. I just need to be with myself, and then I put everything else on pause. I guess that's what I mean by inconsistency, because it happens more often than I would like, but it also doesn't happen enough that I don't continue with my life. So that's what I mean when I say I'm working on it. Every single day it's a challenge, but we gotta do what we gotta do. You know, we life goes on. And I think it's just about showing up for myself more, and I let other people's problems or things kind of take over me sometimes and consume me, when I have to put myself first so that I can show up better for the people around me, for the people I love and the people that I admire. And I you whatever you want to show yourself, whatever you want to show others, you have to show yourself first. And
Yep.
that's what we were talking about earlier. Yesterday, I had this moment with one of the dogs that we have in the house.
One of the plenty dogs we have in this family.
We have in the house. Her name is Echo, and I was petting her, and I was just thinking that like, wow, like I really hope that she feels love, right? And then I had this realization where it was like, I'm giving her the love that I need to show myself. So it was like we were acting with each other as like a mirror, where the love that I needed to give myself, I was giving to her, and like she reciprocated it too. Like she was like all over me, and she was like kissing me, and it was like that was exactly what I needed in that moment. I needed to show her love to show myself love. Does that make sense?
100% makes
Yeah.
sense. 100% makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that also happens with people. I mean, you can't show up for others if you're not showing up for yourself.
As cliche as that might sound, right?
It's probably a very well heard like saying, but it's very true. It has a lot of power to it, because there's also the quote where hurt people,
Mm-hmm.
and no one's gonna treat you worse than they treat themselves. So I mean, that's when you take everything that anyone says with a grain of salt. Like it's at the end of the day, maybe you do need to take something out of that, but it's not necessarily about you.
And also, you can take advice from you take a criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I just felt seen with that whole conversation, right? I think one of my biggest wounds has also been consistency, and I don't think it's a coincidence that it happens to both of us and that we. But one thing that has helped me a lot to start being more consistent, to start getting things done, is one, writing them down. But two, instead of saying my to-do list, I put my to-want list. So, or I get list.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of to do, it's I get.
So it's not an obligation.
Exactly. So I get to wake up and make breakfast for my daughters.
Mm-hmm.
I get to go to the supermarket to choose the healthiest options for my family. I get to go to after school activities with my girls. I get to record a podcast. And you take off that energetic weight from the I have to do it to the I want to do it. Like I get to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mind shift.
Changing the lens.
Yes. I always tell the people that come to my classes in Pilates, give me a smile. You're tricking the brain. So even when you don't feel life is going your way, trick the brain. Close the eyes, take a deep breath, and trick your brain.
Everything's okay.
Everything's okay. And yeah, I mean, sometimes it's scary to get through the things that you have to get through, because it's your comfort zone. And when we talk about comfort zones, it's a tricky place because even when we don't think we have comfort zone, we have comfort zones. Even when we think we are healing, you always have something else to heal. And it doesn't have to be this process of like, oh my God, I have to heal. It's so heavy. No. That's why I make memes. Because healing to me can look like a laugh, it can look like a hug, it can look like a podcast, a deep conversation with someone, or just those conversations that you have over the phone that we always have over the phone. And that's how the idea of this came about, right? It's just those raw healing conversations that sometimes make us uncomfortable. But whoever's coming here is ready to be uncomfortable. Because these questions make me uncomfortable.
There's some hard-hitting questions.
Yeah, but I mean, we need to get to the soul level, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I believe that just like the knowing yourself process is endless, the healing of a wound is endless. Because, for example, the wound that we have about Papi, I might have healed in some aspects. I might have been able to let go of some weight. I can see him and communicate in different ways. But that doesn't mean that when I sit around in the dinner table with the family, doesn't mean that I don't wish he wasn't there. He was there. It's not like I don't wish he was there, you know, like it would be like the best thing that could happen to have him there as well. But you learn to listen in different ways, you learn to share in different ways. The other day someone sent me this podcast and the girl was saying that she's a singer. She has this voice of like an angel, and her dad lost his hearing, you know, like lost his hearing when she was just a baby. So she said it was very hard for me to not be able to show my dad or to share with my dad this huge part of who I am. And then she started like going into these studies and stuff, and she said that he could feel the vibration of her voice in his bones.
Wow.
Yes. So they were connected in a different level. And that's what we got to understand. It doesn't always have to be the way that we expected it to be, the way we thought it was going to be. And be okay with that too. Yeah, it was a mind-blowing podcast. I'm going to send it to you. It was real good. Whew, okay. So, to finish with the third question, if healing isn't about fixing yourself, then what do you think it's really about?
It's about growing as a person. I mean, you can. If I think the word fixing has kind of a negative connotation to it because there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. It's just it's just who you are now.
Sorry.
It's just who
She
you
shines
are.
through.
Let it go. Get it, grow. Get it, grow. I think it all ties back to what we were saying before. We're always changing, and there's nothing wrong with who you are. Who you are right now is helping you get through this moment in time. And whenever it's like a snake shedding their skin, you know, whenever you're done with it, you just shed out the old skin and you come out brand new, right? Like you have new scales, you have everything, and you leave kind of the the shadow of who you were, what didn't serve you anymore, and you just keep going. You keep going, and if you've seen when a snake sheds their skin, their colors become more vibrant because the old skin, it was muting their colors. So you have to shed it to be more vibrant. It's kind of like what you said about the butterflies, right? But if a caterpillar isn't ready to fly, they're not going to turn into a butterfly. They're not willing to put in
Change.
the work, change. And I think it's all about mentality and just knowing that you're perfectly okay with where you are now. Where you are now is exactly where you need to be. And it's not about fixing yourself, it's just about being willing to change and look within to see what it is that doesn't serve you anymore.
Mic drop.
Not really.
Please don't drop my mic. So yeah, I think you put it in other words, but the same message that I wanted to give. I started doing this program with Mateo, which we did episode 1 with, and episode 2, I mean, and I started doing this program, which was like a 6-month program, to deeper knowing, right? Because that's all it has been. Like you have homeworks, you have videos, and you have a workbook, and the amount of like knowledge that or the time that he has and effort that he has put into it truly shows, and I've been seeing my relationship with you guys change, with my daughters change, with like with everyone, especially the ones in my house, like with my husband, with my daughters, with myself. And one of the girls in the group sent a video just before New Year's. We were on the cruise.
Mm-hmm.
And this video was about lobsters, right? How lobsters start to feel uncomfortable in their own shell and literally expose themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and just grows, gets out of her shell and grows a bigger shell, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the guy in the video said if lobsters were humans, they would all be in the hospital, because every time we start to feel a little bit uncomfortable, instead of changing our habits, instead of changing our mentality, we go and get medicated, or we go and try to treat it as something more than a call for action. It like you said, it's not about fixing yourself. You're not broken. It's about realizing that a bonsai tree stays miniature because it doesn't have room to grow. You are the one that is choosing to stay in a little pot. So grow it. And every time you feel like you cannot grow anymore, grow it again. And it's not about fixing, it's about growing, like you said. It's all about understanding when you don't fit where you are anymore. It's knowing that it's an endless and beautiful process. It's up to you if you want to make it smooth and easy, or you want to make it awkward and rough and uncomfortable. But my advice here is go the other way around, like just smooth and easy.
Yeah. But also, nothing grows in comfort.
Nothing grows in comfort,
Nothing grows in
but
comfort.
you need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
That's been like my life motto these past couple years: being comfortable in the uncomfortable. And I mean, it's just like we said before, it's the willingness to change and willingness to look within,
Which
to
is scary.
to introspect, which is very scary, and it's
Taking responsibility is scary too.
very, very, because I mean, it's always very easy to point the finger and say, I am the way I am because of you. When no, I am the way I am because of me.
How I
And the way
perceived
how
it.
I perceived what was going on around me. I think with parents especially, it gets very tricky because I mean, you always say like, oh yeah, I'm like this because you did this when I was 5 years old, and it's like, no, you perceived it that way. You perceived your mind perceived a danger, a threat, and everything, and then it created a mini trauma. When it could have been, I'll give you the example of when I used to dance. Okay. You know,
It was the cutest dance in the world.
no, when I was dancing Rikulim,
Oh.
when I was dancing Rikulim, I was with my friends and the teacher. She got mad at us because we were talking. And she looked at me and my three other friends and she says, "You know why you guys are always in the back?" And we're like, "Why?" And she's like, "Because you guys dance like horses." And I was like, ouch.
Charlie, you broke my heart.
Fully broke my heart, you know, and because of that moment, because of the way I obviously I didn't see in that moment that she was just frustrated because we were talking, that she said anything to like get a reaction out of us. But from that moment on, it was very hard for me to dance in public because I thought I danced like a horse.
Oh.
Yeah. I had like a really big trauma with dancing. I mean, I still have a little lingering of that, but you know, I'm trying to like loosen up a bit more.
Let it go, let it go, let it go.
Yeah, I gotta let it go. But yeah, it's things like that. You know, they weren't aware that what they said caused this in me, and I don't think they said that to cause that in me. But it was just the way that my mind perceived it, and it had very long-lasting effects. With parents, it happens too. When they're parenting, you know, there's no rule book of how you should raise your child. I think if there was, life would be so much easier. But there isn't, and you're just kind of learning as you go along. And whatever decision, you can obviously speak to it better than I can. Whatever decision you make, you know that you're making it with the best interest of your child, and you don't know what that's going to cause in the future, but you know that your intentions are to help your child and to help them move forward and to help them grow as people, because you're molding the new generation, you know. And I think, as a parent, I'm not a parent. I'm 24 years old. I'm not a parent yet. But seeing you raise your daughters, and they're amazing, by the way. You know, I have an immense love in my heart for your daughters.
Me too.
And I think it's giving yourself grace, and you know that you're putting your best foot forward with them, and you're doing everything with the best intentions, and that's all you can do. Whatever they're perceiving, that's gonna be that's what's gonna grow their skin thicker. You know, even though they're having an amazing childhood and stuff, but you know, everyone just perceives it. Like the thing with the dancing and the horse, and it's like I don't dance like a horse, but
you dance beautifully.
Thank you. I dance like a little fairy princess.
100% fairy princess.
But yeah, it's just about, you know, giving yourself some grace and not taking everything so personal, because there's three sides to every story: yours, mine, and the truth. And the truth was that I didn't dance like a horse, and the truth was is that
she was frustrated.
She was frustrated, and for a really long time she was the villain in my story. You know, she really hurt me, but then it's just about stepping outside of it and looking at it from a bird's eye point of view.
I call it the eagle eye perspective.
The eagle eye perspective, where you're looking at it from above and you're like, okay, I can step outside of myself and see the facts. These are the things that happened, and this is what led to that. And it wasn't anyone's fault. It was just circumstance. It was what went down.
So yeah, to that I just have to add that no, life doesn't give you a rule, like a manual of how to be a mom. But I think we're here to write our own, right? And whatever I do with my kids and the way I'm raising my kids, it's going to be different than anyone else's, right? Because we are all trying to do the best for our kids. Mm-hmm. With that being said, you also realize the things that you are passing on and the things that you already passed on. And then, you know how mommy always used to say, you will never know what it's like to be a mom until you become a mom? That's very true. Like when you're younger, you think, and it's happening right now with me, you know, like with my daughters, they think one of them is your favorite. And what they don't understand is that I was petrified when I had Nancy, and I was like, how do I ever think I can share this love or I can have this amount of love for someone else? And then you get another baby on your belly and you already love it. And that's one of the like the hurt the most, like when you, for example, when I lost that baby, and people that go through a losing of a baby, it's what hurts. It's the that you already were feeling an immense amount of love for something that you've never met in your life. And then I got the twins and my love tripled. And I was like, how did my heart just expand like that? And I didn't divide it. It doesn't divide, it expands. So if we're thinking of that, let's start receiving with generosity. So let's start receiving with generosity. Let's start understanding that the more we're able to receive, talking about how hard it is to receive, the more you can give, the more you learn, the more you can teach. And if you want to do anything good for your child, is give them self-confidence. I used to do everything for my daughters, and I've been trying to step away from that. I'm trying to do art projects with them in the afternoon so they can, one, tap into their creativity. Because the other day I was on the phone with Sarah, my other favorite person in the world, and she told me something that it like stuck with me. She said, we are all artists painting our own art. Some of them might be abstract, some of them might be colorful, some of them might be, whatever it is. But we are all different pieces of art. And teaching that to your kids, for them to understand that they don't have to be anyone else than who they already are, and give them security and stay and like stability. That's all you need. You cannot try for them, like you cannot avoid their lessons coming their way. Like you said, that's gonna make their skin thicker. But you can make sure you're giving the best tools. You can make sure that you are focusing on giving them all that self-love, teaching them about self-love, about self-confidence, about stability in their own pillars, in their own 2 feet. And understand that, yeah, you might not be able to avoid the lesson, but you can learn how to navigate the lesson better when you quiet the mind and open your eyes, like you said. So yeah, that's all I had to add for motherhood. Don't be so hard on yourself. Like I was very hard on myself, and even to the point that I still catch myself from time to time judging myself on like, oh, why did I just tell her this? I'm gonna create a trauma. And the other day I learned that there is big T traumas and little T traumas, right? The big T traumas for us, for example, it's the almost kidnapped, the daddy dying, Sarah's tumor, like things that impacted you for real. But the ones that are driving the steering wheel are the little T traumas.
The ones that have accumulated over time that you don't even know where they're coming from.
And those are the ones that you have to be on the lookout for. Those are the ones that are, like, in that movie Inside Out. The only part I didn't like is that they showed it with sadness, right? They turned the happy moments into sad moments when sadness touched the things. But to me, that's reinterpreting your story, right? If you switch it around and it's a joy making sadness memories better, that's reinterpreting. And that's why you can teach your kids. You tell your own story. How are you telling it to yourself? Are you going to play the victim, or are you going to be the responsible one and say, okay, listen, like, I get to allow what I take from other people and just make them very self-secured.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And I mean, adding to the whole thing with Inside Out, I thought that what was beautiful is that at the end they merged it,
Mm-hmm.
because in that moment she needed to view those core memories through sadness because she wasn't feeling anything. She was numb. She needed an emotion to wake her up, and it just so happened to be sadness. And she hit a breaking point. She hit rock bottom at, what was it, like 12 years old? You know, like she hit a major rock bottom for her reality, for her life. She left everything that she ever knew. And I think in a way we can relate to that, for how abruptly we left Mexico after the attempted kidnapping and stuff. Um, Especially you guys, since you guys left a lot older than I was. I was 5 when we left Mexico, and you were 13. You know, you left
Mm.
everything you ever knew, all your friends, your school, your language, your country. You know, it was a big change. And then coming here, and it wasn't like you could just hop on a bus and get back to Mexico. You know, it was like a whole world away. You know, and for her to have to wake up, she needed that sadness, because not everything, she wasn't happy then, and she couldn't fake the joy. And at the end, the core memories merged into happy, sad memory. And that's okay. That's okay. You can look back, you can be nostalgic, and you can feel all these feelings, and you can even add to them, you know?
So you see, with your perspective, you just made me, without even realizing, heal a part of myself, or at least it was the window to a shadow that I didn't see, right? Um, the other day when I was doing the EMDR, she asked me, "Do you think it's a coincidence that you don't remember anything from Mexico?" Because if I look back, I can remember everything from when we moved here
And
to
forward.
and forward. But Mexico, I remember some of the years, but I don't remember too much, right? And I think it's because of what you just said. Because I've been trying to fake it and to say, okay, let's put the reinterpretation without having cleaned the root yet. And that's what I do with constellations. I go and I tell you to say quotes that hurt, saying to your mom, "Oh, your love came to me through your, like your rejection." It's not easy, but understanding that that's all she could do, understanding that that's all she had to give, will say, okay, I touch the emotion, I allow it to stink a little bit, but then I can say, I decide to do it differently. And that doesn't mean that the pain's going to go away. That doesn't mean that the sadness is going to go away. And that's more than okay, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, yeah,
About making the conscious choice, even though it might be uncomfortable or it might hurt.
yeah. Conscious choice, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it hurts, even if you don't like it. Sometimes the only way through is through. Alrighty, wow. That was good. Okay, with that being said, what's one tip or tool that you have in your life that you maybe use that you can share with the people listening?
um, let's think. Let's think. I think we kind of said it throughout the podcast about being present. I think that's something that's really helped me out through these past couple of years, where I've been on this journey of going within and exploring all the aspects of myself, however pretty or however ugly they are. And acceptance, definitely very important, and giving yourself grace, because if you don't give yourself grace, who will? Like
Good luck,
said,
buddy.
good luck. Like we said, you won't treat anyone worse than how you treat yourself. So I like to go around. I like to spread kindness and compassion, spread light. I don't like to focus on I don't like to look at things with a negative lens. And when I catch myself doing that, I make a very conscious choice. I take a pause, I breathe, and I re speak to myself. If I'm saying something to myself and it's like, whoa,
Chill, bro.
chill. Okay. What are we angry about right now?
Who are you?
Who are you? Take a quick pause. And I take a breather and I say, okay, you're okay, you're safe. And then I try to re say what I was trying to say in my head to myself with a nicer tone. And yesterday I went to this class where basically he said this whole story about a guy who had jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge. And when he went home, the police went to his house, they found a note that said that he was gonna end his life, but if just one person smiled at him or said hello, he wouldn't do it. And that means that throughout the whole day, not a single person smiled at him and not a single person said hello. So a little kindness
Goes a long
goes
way.
a really long way. It saves lives. And that's kind of what I want to end with.
That's a lot to unfold. But yeah, I think Papi always used to say,
Yeah.
you say hi to the president of the company, like
Yeah.
you say hi to the
You treat
plumber.
the CEO the same as the janitor.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Because at the end, we're all human beings and deserve the same amount of love and respect from each other.
Yeah, and I think when you're showing that to yourself, it's much easier to show it to others. One of the things that I've been doing for like almost 2 years now, it's every time before I shower, I have like this little ritual where I'm in the front of the mirror completely naked and just being able to say, like even when you don't believe it, because the egos and the mind and the bully that we have inside, it's strong sometimes. But simply looking inside my eyes and starting appreciating, like start appreciating whatever I can appreciate. If that's my eyes today, my nose tomorrow, my how do you say that,
The stretch marks.
the stretch marks. If that's the stretch marks, like, and I start giving it. I mean, I love my freaking stretch marks. I carry twins in my belly. Come on.
Mhm.
Like it was my belly before me,
Yeah. And there's something very beautiful about stretch marks of how your body molds to you.
Yeah. It needed to expand.
It needed to expand.
And now it's returning to its place. And also that whole work has made me appreciate my little battles. And that has been like huge in my life for the past like 3 months. Really applauding myself, because that's what gets you to do it again and again and again. It's what gives you the consistency, like that, staying consistent, because you're feeling good about yourself, because you're feeling good about what you're doing. And like you said, kindness, be more kind to yourself, 100%. Okay, so I think this is going to be one of many. You're more